So other success metrics, let's put it on the coach this time. Gonzalo Pineda, what do you expect from him? I just mentioned a star-studded lineup, a team that should be competing, to your point, for the Supporter Shield as the level of success, which means they could win the Supporter Shield, they could make the MLS Cup playoffs and make a run, right. They could win the Open Cup, they could, just look really exciting, right?
Yep.
What do you want to see him do differently? He said he couldn't change a lot last year. Okay, well, this is your team's 2022. What do you think he needs to do with this type of talent, whether it's formation, whether it's culture, et cetera, to make them succeed?
To be honest, I'm slightly down on Pineda. He didn't show me anything last year that indicated that he really is a special coach. Now, that being said, I haven't, given up on him or anything like that. A whole season. He strikes me as the kind of coach who could be incredibly successful over a year, very consistent, put the guys in the right spot, play the kind of right formation, and just put them out there. Not be sort of special tactically or special in terms of motivating, right. But just a consistent presence. That's what I'm expecting from him. I'm not expecting him to be terrible. I'm not expecting him to be amazing. I'm expecting him to be solid, maybe slightly above solid. This team is built for that. That being said, my worry is because he didn't deem it right to do it last season. We didn't get it sorted out last season. We've only had a preseason. We've had all of these players not available and whatever. I predict Atlanta United is slow out of the gate.
Okay. Well, my take on Pineda is obviously he is good at building some culture. I thought it was a good move to bring him down was it Guadalajara that they did the preseason.
Yep.
Got some fresh air, get the team working together. So I think he does a good job of checking the boxes of making a happy locker room. But as any good coach, it's a balance of happy locker room and a little bit of scared and respect for your coach. I think he lacks the latter two.
Sure.
And to some degree, we'll have to give him some rope, right? But how do you inspire and want to motivate someone like Araujo or an Almada that, are real young upside players, right? That, how do you have that one-on-one connection with players like that you could really have an influence on how they progress over the next year or two?
Yeah. I mean, I expect him to be a confidence builder. So it's the kind of guy who could be really good for young players. I think the players will feel confident that they can make a mistake and he's not going to just lose his mind. So that's good, and honestly, with the talent that we have, I think if he can consistently do that and stay the course, I expect us somewhere a third of the season in, maybe a half a season in, to hit a gear that other teams, haven't heard of. And if he can keep that going into the playoffs, we could be one of the favorites going into the playoffs. Again, I'm a little bit concerned that we're going to be slow out of the gate, and how far behind we're going to be. If he can manage somehow in these early games to get results, maybe even a little ugly, then, look out.
So do we have the depth to be a playoff contender too? We already talked about the front. Unless we sign this Depay kid, we certainly do not have the depth up front.
Yeah, outside of Martinez,
right?
We certainly have the depth in the back. The center back for sure. We have three of the best center backs in the league. Right back for sure. Hernandez, Brooks Lennon is perfectly fine. Left back, you can say we don't really have much cover for Gutman, although Mulroney is not horrible.
Yeah.
And who knows Caleb Wiley is supposed to be great. He's 17 years old, so no expectations there. So that's a weakness in left back. In the midfield, you would say, we have Osvaldo as a veteran guy who can do it in the MLS. We have, Sosa, Josetu, Almada, Moreno, Osvaldo, and even Sadik and Hyman. There's depth in the middle of the park.
What do you think about having Mikey, Ambrose, and Alex Dejean still on the roster. Are they still on the roster? Am I wrong?
They are still on the roster, and they are real depth pieces. I don't think that I think they signed Mikey Ambrose. He was a great guy to have around. Everybody loved him, but he's not a depth. You can't play him. If Gutman goes down, they're probably going to go first to Caleb Wiley as the backup, or maybe Mulroney, or both. And it would, if they went to him then it would only be because the second guy failed, right?
Do you know much about this other? I think he's a homegrown Bryce Washington.
Yeah, I mean, he's a defensive midfielder kind of guy. I
think like the next, like, hopefully,
I think
George Campbell hopeful, or what?
I think he's a midfielder though, not a back.
He's a midfielder.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I think he's too far away. You don't expect him. I mean, the guy who's young, who people have some expectations for, is Wolf.
Right. Wolf, yeah.
And he's an attacking player. Young attacking kind of talent. We always have Jackson Conway too, but I think if there's an attacking guy who's going to surprise us during the year, it's probably going to be Wolf, who got some time last year, has got some talent. Mitchup Chol had some moments last year. Do I think he's ready or whatever to do it at that level? I mean, the thing that is when you think of depth, there's two ways to think about it, right? One is the depth, as in somebody goes down and they're permanently gone. Do you have a guy who can play, for 10 games or even for the rest of the season, God forbid. The other, that I think we have covered depth-wise. What I worry about more is when the moments when the Araujo, Moreno, super attacking talents, all those guys fail to get it done. Either they're losing or we're tied. And who's the guy off the bench who's going to change the game? I'm not sure we have him.
Yeah.
We're talking about Dom Dwyer. He is a guy who could be that. But I don't see Dom Dwyer as a change the game kind of guy. I see Dom Dwyer as a throw on for the last 7 minutes in a desperation and he'll get you a goal kind of guy. But what I'm looking for is...
Hasn't had one since 2019.
What I'm looking for is in the 65th minute, 70th minute, the guy who's going to play 30 minutes and change the game for you.
Yeah.
And who is that for this team?
I'm hoping that's going to be, Araujo, Almada.
No, but they're all going to be in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
But the moments that they fail, who's coming off the bench?
Who's coming off the bench?
I mean, I expect if they really get it done, we're not going to need it very much. But when we do, who's the guy who's going to change the game off the bench?
You hope that a guy like Jackson Conway gets a couple of those moments and gets a little bit of the engine rolling on that, because he seems like he's got the build, right, to do that. But if he doesn't develop into that in the next year or two, right, his horizon might be kind of...
I mean, I think right now you look at the lineup and you think the only guy who has the potential to be that guy is probably Wolf.
Okay.
And that's a lot of stuff on his shoulders. Now, it could be perfect, right? He's super young, maybe not ready to go 70 minutes all the time, maybe not ready to be the backup for Martinez yet, but maybe he is really ready to change games for 20 minutes or 25 minutes.
Yeah. So what is your prediction for the 3 o'clock home opener at Mercedes-Benz against Kansas City in a couple days here? Is that 3 days away?
I'm going to go with 1-1.
1-1. And why is that?
Because I think we will probably have the better of the play. Kansas City is going to be tough to break down. I think with all of the absentees that we have, I don't feel like we're going to be hitting on all cylinders. I think they steal a goal at some point, whether they're up or we're up and they tie us. I'm not sure this team is ready to score 2 or 3 goals yet.
Okay. I think that's a pretty good prediction personally, but I've got to be different, right?
Sure.
I'm just going to go with a 2-0 Atlanta United win.
That would be amazing.
It's a home opener. We've got a good defensive group.
If we were playing like Orlando or or Miami, even better. Then maybe, yeah. But
here's my logic. We also have Miles Robinson, who's gotten more minutes than a lot of players who might be on the opposition, having just played for the U.S. men's national team for qualifiers. His confidence should be good. He's not rusty. He's hopefully kind of the guy out of the back that just
Our back line should be strong tomorrow.
Right. So that's why I'm hoping 0 goals against us is at least one success metric for Sunday.
So 0-0.
It could be 1-1 or 0-0.
No, please, no.
But I'm going 2-0.
I'd rather lose 3-2.
Because we got Joseph and Araujo that could really pull some magic out. I don't know who else is going to be in. Mulroney, he's at least got some speed.
Araujo's the wild card. If we're going to win tomorrow and score 2 or 3 goals.
Sunday.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
I wish.
If we're going to score, this is Wednesday night, dear podcast listeners. But if we're going to score 2 or 3 goals, Araujo's going to have to play well.
I agree.
And he might. I mean, he's that good.
Yeah, and I'm so curious how Joseph comes out because, boy, did he not show up in the second half against NYFC in that playoff game. And Araujo did. They were both invisible. They might as well stay in the locker room.
I do think it would change if Moreno's in the starting lineup. My prediction. I'm predicting that he's not, and so part of my prediction for us scoring only 1 goal is that it's going to be basically Araujo and Martinez on an island, and that's easier to defend.
Well, I'm a fanboy. Moreno's my guy. Out of the Fab Four, if Moreno shows up in any game, we win.
If Moreno and Almada are both on the field, then I think it probably changes the prediction. But right now, I think they're not going to be. So, and that's my problem. If we had our top starting lineup from day one, if everybody was healthy and everybody was in the game and everybody had been that way for the whole preseason, I would say different story. Then the expectation should be we should be great right out of the gate. But we haven't played. Most of the guys haven't played very much in the preseason. I think the preseason is total throwaway. It's total garbage. Who cares? But still, you got to have players getting ready.
Yeah. What did you think? I think Martinez got a red card and somebody else in one of the
in
Guadalajara against Chivas. There was 2 games against the Chivas, and both of them there were people ejected kind of towards the end of the game.
Right, we got crushed.
I just, to me, that's not the best sign. If you're not obviously you just want to come out of preseason with no injuries. Check, we did that, but I didn't think it was a great sign that. You're breaking the podcast table. Well done. Damn it. I just fixed that. We're on fire here.
Sorry.
Oh, I forgot to put the light in the fire since it's 80 degrees here.
Yeah, it's too hot for a real fire.
Too hot.
But okay, so now let's throw it back on you.
Okay.
Let's predict what position we're going to finish in. And then before you say that, I want to remind you of a certain prediction that you made here on the podcast
about Leeds United.
Leeds United.
I haven't forgotten. They're like 15. They're like 15th, and I know that.
So the bet was
Tottenham, a very nice bottle of wine or something like that. Keep me honest.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I haven't forgotten. I've been watching the table.
You said that Leeds would finish above Tottenham.
Yeah, I did.
Has anybody looked at the table lately?
But the most important thing at this point, even though you will win that bet, it's almost guaranteed you're going to win that bet, that my Wolves beat Arsenal tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
Wolves are doing good.
Jump up to like 5th place.
Yeah.
And stay way ahead of Arsenal and Tottenham. That's the most important thing. So
I
can lose that bet and be happy now that my Wolves are.
We just won't trust your predictions. It's fine.
Well, I was pretty disappointed with Leeds. I tell you
we don't like to remind people of their predictions on the podcast, although you can tweet at us and remind us all the places we
Speaking of Leeds, how did you feel going into the first 10 minutes of the second half against Manchester United in the derby against Leeds? That was exciting.
I was very
game.
Confident the whole time. What are you talking about?
I mean, that guy just went to cross the ball and just puts it upper 90.
I knew we would score 4 goals. Yeah. I mean, everybody knew that, Mikey Dow's. Yeah. What?
And your United team tied 1-1 today against Atletico Madrid, or is it Madrid?
Yeah.
No, Atletico something, not Madrid, right? Was it Madrid?
Atletico Madrid.
Okay, maybe. Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
Now, I was thinking Real Madrid. Sorry, my brain.
There's 2 Madrids.
Yeah.
Atletico.
Yeah, how about those kits? I thought those Man U jerseys are pretty sweet today, personally. That dark blue with the yellow and the black shorts with the yellow accents.
Yeah. They had that a long time ago in the 80s.
I don't know. Those are pretty sweet.
Throwback jersey.
I usually am not a jersey person, but those are pretty nice.
Well, what do you think of the green Atlanta United jersey?
I like them. I think they're pretty fresh. I took a poll on our Twitter account. I think 60% of the people thought it was pretty fresh. 10% thought it was terrible.
I might be in the terrible. I don't think it's so great.
They've really grown on me.
Okay.
Check out some of the
You're
photos.
more the fashion guy, designer.
Also, they'll go really well with blue jeans, right?
Okay.
Right? Dark blue, and you got the green. It's a good.
Is that for real? You can tweet at us, those of you who want to disagree with
Please leave some comments
fashion
in the
sense.
YouTube comments on whether it's fresh or not. What do I know?
Mikey Dobbs, do we now
Look at this kid.
Do we have a phone number you can call?
We do. I posted it on our Twitter. I don't know it off the top of my head. I think it's something like...
You got to go to our Twitter to find out, but you can call us.
I know the first couple digits. It's like 470, and then something. It's like 1982, which I picked because I was born in the 80s, or I grew up in the 80s, born in the 70s, and I was like, 1982 is easy to remember the last number.
Okay, but what's your prediction then? Where are we going to finish in the table?
I think on the East, or like overall?
In the East.
In the East, we finished number 2.
Wow. I like to disagree with you a lot, but I had us at number 2.
Okay. I mean, look, I'd love to be optimistic and go with number 1.
I think it'd be too much to go with number 1.
I'm always overly optimistic.
We're certainly capable of being number 1, but we're certainly capable of being 5 too. If we're anywhere lower than 5, oh my goodness.
Well, it's to your point. I hadn't thought of what success looks like. If we're competing for that supporter shield, which I almost don't care about, right? Because no one remembers who won the supporter shield. Right. I want to win the MLS Cup is like the number 1 goal, but you're going to be happy as an Atlanta United fan if we're up there competing for the supporter shield. The season is going to feel very fruitful if we kind of have that kind of mojo going.
Well, if you recall last year, one of the things that we criticized Pineda for, and I think we were absolutely dead on, is that we criticized him for not pushing a little harder, and we were any 1 point away from having that home field against New York City FC.
He botched it.
If we had New York home field against New York City FC, that's a totally different game. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying we win that game, but I think we are probably an ever so slight favorite in that game. Whereas up in New York City FC, where they always win, right, we had no chance. Yeah. And so what I would say is the problem is, unless you contend to have sort of home field playoffs throughout, if we do that, we're a legitimate MLS Cup, winner, contender. And if we're not, we're not. And the crazy thing about it is, I think Pineda learned the wrong lesson in Seattle. They had some crazy years. They didn't get the home field advantage, and they still got the MLS Cup and won it. I think he learned the wrong lesson, right? Because for the most part, the answer has been the opposite. The home team has definitely won an MLS.
Yeah. All right.
And he's got to keep in mind that some of those years that they won it, and he's like, you just got to get in the playoffs. That was back when they had home and home, and then it really didn't matter. Now it's just a single game, and it's a home field advantage. It's a totally different ballgame. And I think he really learned the wrong lesson.
Yeah. It's like the Champions League now, where there's no away goal advantage, right?
Right.
Silly. That's silly. Anyway, Sunday, Kansas City, the Mercedes-Benz, 3:00 kickoff. We might be doing another podcast out of, what are we thinking about, Elliott Street Pub?
Right behind the Elliott Street Pub, yeah.
So Dave and I might...
if you're out there,
load up this
and
equipment.
You're grabbing a beer at the Elliott Street Pub, and you're listening to the podcast, your podcast listeners, come around back. Even if it's pouring rain out there, which it might be, we'll be there, and we're going to try, no promises, people, to put on a live podcast or to record a podcast in the parking lot.
You've contributed to the podcast on a power supply that should at least give us 1 hour recording.
Okay.
I'm hopeful.
If you get there late, we're going to cut you off because if you join
and it's like, so there's that. We're going to be on the road. We're going to be portable this year.
That's right. Maybe we'll even take it on the road. We should go to an away game. It'd be great.
Oh, anyway. Absolutely. We should go to Nashville.
I'm in.
We should mature this thing and do like a calendar and figure out what we're doing this year, Dave.
All right. We're going to get organized, dear podcast listener. We'll be coming back at you. Check the Twitter.
Yeah.
Check the
YouTube. Ring the bell at ATL on Fire. ATL on fire. Just Google that.
Look for future competitions if you subscribe.
If you,
Eliana, congratulations again.
amen. Right? Yeah. That's it, right? We talked about it all.
Talked about it all.
All right, people. ATL on Fire Season 4. Thanks for listening.
Stay with us.
Thanks, Dave.